Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now this is going to be a little short video on 10 albums I have, but I've also got them in different covers, and I'll show each cover and just basically tell you which one I prefer. Now some of these albums are not exactly the same, maybe there's one with a couple of bonus tracks on it or something like that there, but generally they're known as reissues of the original album. So I'll start off with Shania Twain, and this is her album Come On Over. Now this is the vinyl version obviously. It was originally released in America with this cover on CD. It's her most successful album to date, but whenever it was released in Britain and elsewhere in the world, it was released with that cover there. Now I believe this version actually is being re-released on vinyl. Now the tracks are the same but not in the same order, so the track listing's been jumbled about a bit. I think I prefer this one. It's the one I'm used to the most, but still I like both covers. So Shania Twain and Come On Over. Second one, T-Rex and Bowling Zip Gun. Now I'm showing this because in 1983 there was 3 T-Rex albums I had not got because they had been deleted, and they were Bowling Zip Gun, Zinc Alloy and Tanks. Now they were reissued but with completely different sleeves in 1983. I was just delighted to get them, but I have since sold those 3, but I still did buy the CD of one of them, which is this one here, Bowling Zip Gun. Now those covers are absolutely awful, so they are. And the vinyl version actually has like a white border around it, which makes it even worse looking. But the reason I bought this on CD is because it's got the Think Zinc 83 remix on it, which I didn't have on CD, so I bought it for pennies, but still, give me the original cover any day of the week. And the third one is Adam and the Ants and Dirk Wears White Socks, a very dark cover. It's a very dark album. No singles were actually released off this. It was released in 1979. Although the track Car Trouble Parts 1 and 2, part 1 of that was reworked as a single in 1980 when Marco Perrone came along. But it's a very, very good album, very dark, post-punk. But in 1983 they released this CBS whenever they got the catalogue from Do It. And this one here is a complete sort of reworking of the album. Gone is Car Trouble Parts 1 and 2 and replaced by the single version of Car Trouble. They also add in Xerox and Whipping My Valise and Kick, which were 2 B-sides and another A-side, and then took off a couple of the original tracks from the album. I like both covers of this. I actually nearly prefer this one. I like the still. I think it's a still from the Xerox video, but very good album. This is technically the better album because it does have the singles on it, but still as an album as a whole I think I still prefer the first one. So Adam and the Ants, Dirk Wears White Socks. And the next one is the Undertones in their debut album, and I love the cover of this. This was taken at the banks of the Foyle River, which is just a really, really good cover. But they reissued this. This was actually released in 1979, but they reissued it a few months later with this cover and added 2 extra tracks, Get Over You and Teenage Kicks. And they also replaced the version of Here Comes the Summer with the single version. This is the better album, so it is, but still known as the Undertones debut album. But I do prefer the original cover, and I do prefer the original version of Here Comes the Summer as well. So the Undertones is my 4th choice. And the next one is ABBA and their last album Voyage, and this is the standard sleeve for Voyage, which I think is a beautiful sleeve. The back, there's not a lot to it, but they also released it with the Avatar pictures on the front, which is okay. I had to have it obviously, but I think I still prefer the original sleeve. But this is an absolutely brilliant album. Next up is Roy Orbison, and in 1975 he released this album, I'm Still in Love with You. Now I know this was released in America, and I don't think it was released in the UK at all. I can't find anything about it, but I remember around this time he appeared in the Wheel Tappers and Shunters club with Bernard Manning presenting, and he sang the song Sweet Mama Blue, which is really nice. He does another version of Heartache, one of his late 60s songs, which is very good. Pledging My Love's good. It's a decent enough Roy Orbison album, but they're all like the same, you know. They're just good standard songs. But this was reissued in 2002 on CD, and I was given that cover there, which is totally unrepresentative of the album, because that's a picture of him in the early 60s, and the album itself was released in 75. Now I do not know if this was released with this cover in 75 in the UK. Can't find anything about it. I think this is just for the CD release, but I do prefer the original cover. And next up we have Rockpile and Seconds of Pleasure, which was released in 1980. And Rockpile are Nick Lowe, Dave Edmunds, Billy Bremner and Terry Williams. And yeah, it's an okay album cover. It's a bit too bright, I think, and you got a free EP which is there, of where Nick Lowe and Dave Edmunds sing the Everly Brothers. However, the album itself again was released in 1990, reissued with this cover here, and I actually prefer this cover. And this here is on Demon Records. The original one was on F-Beat. So this is the first time I heard this album, was by getting this album. So Rockpile, Seconds of Pleasure. And next up is Don McLean and Tapestry, and it's his debut album, and I really do like that cover. I like the back cover as well, but the only thing that annoys me is the track listing is not listed. However, this is not where I first heard this album. It was this here reissue on Fame around 1984, and that's just a very cheap cover. You always know a cheap cover whenever the front cover is exactly the same as the back, although maybe the colours are different. But this is where I heard the album, and it's my favourite Don McLean album. Okay, I'm going to show David Bowie now. I was going to pick the four Man Who Sold the Worlds, the dress cover, the kick cover, the flick cover and the cartoon cover, but I thought no, I'll do a different one. And this is the Buddha of Suburbia from 1993. Now this here vinyl is a Captain Pugwash, so I think it was only ever released in Brazil on vinyl. I do have the CD, and this album failed miserably, because if you look at it, you don't know that this is a David Bowie album. You have to flick the back of it to find out that it's actually David Bowie. However, this was released again. It was either 95 or 96 in America, but not in this cover, but a variant of this cover here, which I do prefer the cover, although there is an issue which I'll come to. The original US version was completely in black and white. This has got a gold tint to it, and it's a good back cover as well. But the problem I have with this is, if you look at Bowie, that's a picture of him from 95 or 96. It's not from 93, and I always think the cover, the photograph should be of that period. But still, at least his name's on the front, and you know, it gets the recognition it deserves now as a solo David Bowie album. So that's the Buddha of Suburbia. And the last one I'm going to show is Bow Wow Wow, and it's Sea Jungle, Go Join Your Gang. Yeah, City All Over, Go Ape Crazy. And this here is the original issue of it, where they do sort of a parody or a pastiche of is it Manny or Money's Déjeuner sur l'herbe, and the same picture again on the back cover. But Annabella Lewin's mother threw a real tantrum over this, and so they reissued the album like this here, and I do prefer the original. This one would have been better if it didn't have the white border, but still it's a decent enough cover, and I do like the back cover as well, and it's an absolutely brilliant album. So there are 10 albums I have in my collection with different covers. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video which I think will be vinyl inbox quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.